all around. I would say another number up on the board, you could say, which is why I'm feeling a strong 8 on it. Tran?
All right, what's up, guys? It's me, the other music critic. This is my basic idea for how to make album reviews, or at least the number itself, as efficient and informative as possible with no compromises, even if it makes it a horrible viewing experience. So let's get started. We're going to start at the root of reviews themselves. So most likely with most people who review albums, they review albums based off their enjoyment. So an album they enjoy more is more likely to get a better review. Now, not a lot of people really review albums without giving them like a specific number or kind of assigned value at the end of the review. An example of someone who doesn't do that is me. I don't know who else. But as for the album reviews themselves, the simplest way to review an album is X out of X right here. So this can mean like just about anything. This could be a 3 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, a more positive review, or an 8.8 out of 10. Notice the decimal placement right there. Now you can add words to this to make this a little bit more, not necessarily precise, but more engaging in a way. So words like light, decent, strong, plus or minus could be used to make these specific values a little bit easier, to comprehend. Like a light 8 is a lot easier to think about than an 8.12. But just using reasonable thinking, we can deduce that a light 9 is equal to a 9 minus, which is roughly equivalent to 9.25 out of 10. This is the same for, let's say, like a strong 8. Excuse my horrible handwriting. This is basically the same as an 8 plus, which is basically equivalent to an 8.75. Of course, it couldn't be exactly that. There's obviously some leeway, either to or against that number, but you guys get what I mean. You guys get the gist. Now let's go down here. A 9.25 out of 10 is essentially a 92.5 out of 100, which you guys may be familiar with as a common letter grade. So assigning tiers to these reviews are also a good way to make it more understandable, like an A, a B minus, an F, or a C plus. And that's how we get into the tier lists. Tier lists are good because you're able to review multiple albums at once. You could put like a Brockhampton album right here, Denzel Curry right here, Ken Carson right there, Destroy Lonely right there, Paris, Texas right there, stuff like that. You can review multiple albums for multiple genres all at once, with seemingly no limit. The only problem with this is there's no more numbers. The numbers are gone. So if you want to get rid of the letters and keep the numbers, there's an alternative for that too. Picture a one-dimensional graph with a slider that goes along it. But this is good because it gives you a lot more precision while still being able to review multiple albums at once. Now, let's make this needlessly complicated and over the top for no reason. Why have one dimension of a graph? Why do that? I mean, we're missing out on so much clarity. We can have 2 dimensions of a graph. Now, this is the enjoyment graph. This is the graph based on how much you enjoyed the album. And I just made it simple and said, this is what the sound is, and this is what the album felt like. The importance of the album to me and what it sounded like. Let's say, for this example, this obviously isn't the truth, but the new jpegmafia album might have sounded like a 7. It probably felt like a 5. I obviously have different opinions about this album, but the lines would intersect right around here, which noticeably is a little bit further off than a perfect 10. So an album that had perfect feel and perfect sound would reach the top right of the graph. So there would be multiple points that were diverging from this perfect 10 spot, and you could review multiple albums this way while also keeping a lot of, variables intact. Is this efficient? No. Is this easy to read? No. Is it incredibly informative? Yes, very much so. Probably the most information you could get out of just like a sentence or two for an album review. You could say, I give this album a 7 on sound and a 5 on feel. And then you'd show the graph and it wouldn't be close to a perfect 10. But we can go further than this. You know, two dimensions is not enough. You know, there's more variables than sound and feel. What about the lyrics? What about the meaning? And that's 4, but I don't really know how to draw four dimensions on MS Paint, but I tried my best to make a 3-dimensional version of this. The absolute look at this. The absolute epitome of album reviews. The final frontier of album reviews. There is a 3D box with 2D planes informing you around the lyrics, the sound, and the feel. So the feel on this album, or whatever album this is an 8. So its plane is along the 8 on this 3D plane, on this 3D grid. And the sound is a 9. So that goes to the end of the other things, but it's not at the top of the y-axis, I think. I don't know how this works. And then lyrics are a 7, so it's not really gonna reach the end of the x-axis, but it will reach the top and the edge. Where these 3 points meet together is its ranking, you know? And that's as close as it is to like a perfect 10. So it could be at multiple points in space. This is not convenient. This is not good, but it looks kind of cool and you get a lot of info out of that. Here's why it sucks. If you really just wanted to not talk about an album at all and just review it, you know, just give it like reasons you like it, reasons you dislike it, this graph could just take all the words out of your mouth. Like, okay, let's say Fantano was reviewing an album like this. I would just skip to the end of the video because it would already tell me what the album sounded like, what the album felt like, and what the album's lyrics were like. And you may be having some questions right now. What about instrumental albums?